To stitch a buttonhole using the sewing machine, you need to use a buttonhole foot. There you can see there's a little metal bar. If you press the quick release button and then position the foot underneath there, use the black lever to lower the foot down. Press the quick release button again. On some machines it's a silver lever. Once you lift it up, it's attached. Turn the wheel towards you so that the thread passes through to the correct side of the foot. And then move both the upper thread and the bobbin thread round to the back as usual. At the back of the buttonhole foot there's a section that you can extend. Open this up and put the button in that you're going to be using, and then clamp it down, and that will produce a buttonhole that's the exact right size for the button. The final step you need to do is move the buttonhole lever down into the space between the front and the back of the buttonhole. Once that's done, select the buttonhole settings. On these machines it's a red rectangle, and then I'm setting the width to 5. To stop the buttonholes from fraying, I've ironed in a piece of interfacing along the sample that I'm using. Usually use a piece of interfacing that matches the colour of your fabric. And often there's the line of stitching along that side of the placket. I've marked where I want the buttonholes to go. So it's a bit difficult to see when it's on the machine. So this is a spare buttonhole foot. Then you would align the mark that you've made in the centre of the viewfinder, and then the needle would stitch in there. It goes across the side, up, down and back again to make the buttonhole. So put your fabric into the machine. Align the dot into the viewfinder so it's in exactly the right place, and it starts from the bottom of the buttonhole and then works upwards. Put your foot on the pedal. You can stop at any time. Whenever you stop, it will carry on exactly where it left off. And then it will carry on in the corner spot until you stop stitching. Trim your threads and then reset the machine ready for the next buttonhole. You'll hear a click when it does it. And then you just repeat the process exactly the same way for as many buttonholes as you want it to make. You don't need to pull the fabric at all when the machine is making the buttonhole. I'm just using my hands here to guide it to make sure it remains in a straight line. So once it's finished going up the left hand side and does the top of the buttonhole, I'm just going to move my hands around so that I can position it so it stays straight when it's coming back to the start again. Then when it's done, the last thing you need to do is to open the buttonholes. So I always put a pin through the top of it, just in case my seam ripper cuts through the top of the buttonhole and ruins the rest of the shirt. So using a seam ripper or a small pair of embroidery scissors, slice open the buttonhole, and then you can snip off any loose threads because you've got stitching around there and you've got some interfacing, so it won't fray. Then if you use one of the buttons you've been using to make the size for the buttonhole, you can see that it fits snugly into the buttonhole that you've made.